In 2018, President Trump declared on Twitter, "Trade wars are good and easy to win." But ask any economist about this statement, and you'll likely see them wince. Today, we're diving into why the vast majority of economists, regardless of their political leanings, oppose Trump's tariff policies. At its core, international trade is about mutual benefit. When countries specialize in what they do best and trade with each other, everyone gets more for less. It's like how you don't grow your own food, build your own house, and make your own clothes. You specialize in your job and trade your earnings for these goods and services. We've seen this movie before, and it doesn't have a happy ending. In 1930, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act raised tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods. While it wasn't the sole cause of the Great Depression, economists widely agree it made things significantly worse. Global trade plunged by 65% over the next few years. Fast forward to Trump's tariffs, and economists identified several key problems. First, tariffs are essentially a tax on American consumers. When the Trump administration placed tariffs on Chinese goods, American companies either had to absorb these costs, hurting their profits, or pass them on to consumers through higher prices. Studies show that American consumers and companies bore almost the entire burden of these tariffs. Second, retaliatory tariffs hurt American exporters. When China responded with its own tariffs, American farmers were hit particularly hard. Soybean exports to China dropped by 75%, forcing the government to provide billions in subsidies to affected farmers. Third, modern supply chains are incredibly complex. Many American manufacturers rely on imported components to make their products. When these components become more expensive due to tariffs, it makes American-made products less competitive globally. While some American steel and aluminum producers benefited from the tariffs, studies found that for every job created in these industries, multiple jobs were lost in industries that use these materials. One study estimated that Trump's trade policies resulted in net job losses and reduced GDP growth. The numbers tell the story. During the height of the trade war, U.S. manufacturing actually contracted. The Federal Reserve estimated that trade policy uncertainty reduced U.S. corporate investment by about 1%. Meanwhile, inflation-adjusted U.S. household income decreased by about $1,000 annually due to the tariffs. There's a reason why surveys show that over 95% of economists oppose broad tariffs. It's not because they're all free trade ideologues. It's because both economic theory and historical evidence show that protectionist policies generally do more harm than good. If the goal is to address legitimate concerns about China's trade practices or protect American workers, economists point to more effective alternatives. Investing in education and job training, providing adjustment assistance to affected workers, using targeted trade remedies for specific unfair practices, and working with allies to pressure China through international institutions. The real path to American competitiveness isn't through tariffs. It's through investment in research and development, infrastructure, and human capital. It's about making American workers and businesses more productive, not just making foreign goods more expensive. In our interconnected world, the idea that trade is a zero-sum game where one country must lose for another to win is outdated. When Trump said trade wars are easy to win, he was fundamentally misunderstanding how modern economies work. The consensus among economists isn't about politics, it's about evidence. From Adam Smith to today's leading economists, centuries of economic research and real-world experience show that free trade, while not perfect, tends to create more prosperity than protectionism. That doesn't mean we should ignore the real challenges faced by workers and communities affected by trade. But as economists keep pointing out, the solution isn't to start trade wars. It's to help Americans adapt and compete in the global economy. Because at the end of the day, making trade more expensive and difficult doesn't make America great, it makes America poorer. And that's why economists from across the political spectrum continue to speak out against tariff-based trade policies. The next time you hear someone say trade wars are easy to win, remember, the only winners in trade wars are the politicians who get to look tough. The rest of us, consumers, workers, businesses, and the overall economy, end up paying the price.